Hey Alice, welcome back. Good timing. I am joined once again by Brother Dusty, here to conduct another sermon.
Yeah,
The last time we did this, we got way too stoned.
I showed up way too stoned, and then we got more way too stoned.
Yeah, yeah, Jasmine poisoned us. It almost died.
Yeah,
But luckily, she's not here to poison us this time. So maybe we can actually have a conversation.
yeah, I can speak English for sure. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
And it's good timing because your band The Reveal just put out their album Hieroglyphics.
Yes, last Monday. Yeah,
And that's been a long time coming.
yeah, in several different contexts actually, because a lot of the riffs have been around for like 10 years. A lot of the songs have been around for a couple years. There's a couple of them that are actually new. Um, we wrote the whole album with a different lineup, and then things kind of changed and changed again, and then we finally threw it out. So it's really exciting because we finally get to move on to like a whole new chapter of our lives after this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I bet you're excited to like make new stuff that's
Yeah,
not gonna be
yeah.
on this record.
Well, I learned so much from producing this record that I feel like next time I get into any form of songwriting or production, I feel like I have like a college degree in it now because we recorded that album as it is with six producers, but we also in the process of that probably worked with 10 producers. So every single dude had they all thought that this was there was a couple of them that they think that the music's got to be like this, and then some of them are like, no, it's got to be like that. Some of them were just like, I'm gonna hit the record button and y'all do whatever you do, and then some of them had opinions, some of them had less. So it was just like a way, like I felt like Samurai Jack, dude, like where I got to go around and train under like the priest and train under the samurai and train under the monk and train under like all these different types of people with different philosophies. Um, and now I feel like I am like 10 times the art. Like I basically went through the creative process of like 5 to 10 different albums all in one span of a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I just feel like I had like an overflow of educational information to the whole thing. So I am excited for the next thing because I feel like I've just leveled up immensely for anything new as far as the future
for
goes. So
sure.
yeah.
There's a lot of magic in what you do. It's in sort of the symbolism
Yeah.
and like the name of like the reveal,
Yeah.
hieroglyphics.
Yeah. Yeah.
um it seems like especially specifically like Egyptian
Mm-hmm.
iconography seems like it's really big with you guys. Where does is that just something you've always been interested in?
I've always been really, really into mythology, religion, spirituality, as well as like science, like psychology and biology and stuff like that. Like anything that sort of can explain like what life is and how life works. But I've loved just collecting all the different perspectives on it. I think really where all that started was like damn near 10 years ago. I got into songs like Kashmir from Led Zeppelin and like sort of that sound of music that's not necessarily like it's still sort of American rock and roll, but the notes that they're using have like sort of a reminiscent of the desert, but it's not, it's like this is Led Zeppelin. They're not from there. They were just, and that was one song,
Yeah.
but I kind of got into that sound and I just wanted to learn like what is that. So I looked up what was called at the time like the gypsy scale, which is actually the double harmonic major scale. And I just like fell in love with like the way that it sounds. For me, it's a lot less of the culture and the geographical origin of it. It's a lot less of like the skin color of the people that play it the most. I just really like the sound of it. You know what I
Mm.
mean? But getting into it and learning about it and figuring out the way that this scale has been used and the way to do it right and the way to do it well, you can only like you're obviously going to run into those cultures and stuff because that's where the
Mm.
music's most prominent and that's where it shines the most. So I did like go down a huge, rabbit hole of like a lot of different African and Arabian music and stuff like that, just obsessing over it. The first song on the album that started the whole thing was actually Mama Don't Know, which is funny because that's kind of more of a filler track. I think a lot of people really like that song, but that was the first one that I wrote like that. And at the time, we were all like bluesy rock. And then I did Mama Don't Know, and I was like, this sound is cool. Like,
Yeah.
I want to figure out how to construct like an entire like vibe with this without, because it is awkward, man. Like, we're three white boys, dude. You know what I mean? And it's like, it does come up every now and then, like, one of our press people were like, so are you like part of a like Middle Eastern family? And I'm like, bro, I'm from Indiana, dog. Like, no, man. Like, I just love it, dude.
That's I'll tell you, that's one of the things that I really picked up. I mean, I dug y'all
Yeah.
early on, you know, here because y'all were just raw dog and blues and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. But I've absolutely picked up on that progression because I'm huge about like harmonic minor,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
smash, you know, and yeah, I mean, I saw that coming. I was like, you know, I'd see y'all and then like saw a show, a live show that y'all did, and I guess it was, you know, some new tracks or whatever.
Yeah.
And y'all kicked into that, man, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, yeah, all right, yeah,
That's
that's what I'm
cool.
talking about. I love seeing bands do that too.
Yeah, I feel like for me, like I said, a lot of it is more like I'm trying to create like this dark, mystical, psychedelic like trip feel. And you know, when you start diving into Egyptian mythology, if you're really, really into it, you realize this isn't Egyptian mythology. This is human origin.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're
Well said.
Egyptian or you're American or whatever. Like, you start getting into this, and it's like this is the ancient roots of everything,
Yeah.
bro. Like all the way down to like aliens, you know, other dimensions, like early religion. Like, you know, you get into Christianity. Like, I'm one of those people who, like, I like to dive all the way into Christianity, like into pre-Christian like mythology and doctrine and theology and everything like that. And it's like I started diving down those rabbit holes, and I got really into like hermetics and alchemy and a lot of these ancient studies. That it's just like, you know, it's unfortunate that people see that as like, oh, those are for Egyptian people. Like, bro, those are for humans. Like that like trying to tie that into a skin color is really like eliminating the potential opportunity for the world to wake up. You know what I mean? Because a lot of it is a spiritual awakening that I feel like people need to have. And that's kind of what it was for me. A lot of it is like just without saying anything of like, oh, go check out Egyptian culture. It's like I wanted to just put that in front of people and allow people to sort of digest it a little bit. And then if they so choose to go look that stuff up, that's on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to be preachy, and I don't want to like push that stuff down people's throat, and I don't want to be weird or whatever, but it's like that is a lot of the inspiration of where it comes from. There's not a ton of lyrics. That's what it's about. It's just like that was the energy. That was the world that I was going through. Those were the rabbit holes that I was diving into. Those were the books that I was reading. And those were like the videos that I was watching. And I was just consuming a lot of information from, and you know, a lot of it, it comes from like, you can't escape it, man. It's on the dollar bill. There's literally a pyramid with an eye on it and like aliens and shit on the dollar bill. And it's like, if you really want to know shit, you're going to be like, what is this? And you're going to keep going and keep going and keep going. And then all of a sudden you end up in Egyptian mythology or other types of mythology. You know what I mean? And for me, the album is a lot more cool riffs and fun jamming. And then when the band leaves, like I'm going and geeking out over like these books and these texts and all this stuff that I'm interested in, and just kind of allowing it to passively go into the music without necessarily
trying to
yeah,
make
just
it
biting all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a few like I wanted to honor it, and I wanted to lean into the fact, and I wanted to admit the fact that, you know, a lot of the music that we're playing, I'm not trying to bite it, but I will admit that this music is strongest and most prominent in these other parts of the world. So I think for me, what that is like, if you listen to the song Desert Man is all biblical references. Everything is biblical. For me, that song is about growing up in like a Southern white Baptist family and seeing that a lot of America is like these religious, you know, they claim the Bible, they claim all the biblical characters, they claim all the land, and they claim all these stories. And then you look at it and it's like, those are all Middle Eastern people. And then when you show a Middle Eastern person to these people, there's a lot of racism happening. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of like, oh no, those people are terrorists. And it's like, if you're gonna read their book and you're gonna worship their characters and you're gonna get into their people, like I wanted to make Desert Man this thing. It's like I'm talking about Moses and Jesus and evil and like all these religious spiritual warfare tactics, but I'm putting desert music behind it to where it's like this is the soundscape of the stories that you're reading and worshiping and raising your kids on. And then at the same time you're turning around and you're being like super racist against these cultures. And for me it's a lot less of like, oh, I'm biting this other culture and I'm trying to get people in my culture to like look over to that culture without like, you know, like biting into it too hard and being like a social justice warrior about it. You know, for me it's just really cool. I think you should go try their food. I think you should listen to their music. I think it's really cool because when you get into Middle Eastern and Arabian music, we have 12 notes. We have the Pythagorean scale in America. They have 24 notes. So every note that we have, they have a note in between those notes. Yeah, and
What can I ask you if you studied when you're talking about that?
a little bit. Yeah, I mean when I say study, like I would say like a dabble. You know, like I haven't like, but I've asked a lot of questions, and it's like I do try to reach out like and talk to as many people in different cultures, and I just like to sit there and ask questions. Like it's literally like a real life podcast, man. Like anytime I meet somebody who's not from America or anything like that, I'm just like, what's the religion over there? Like what's the politics like? Like what's this? What's that? Like what's y'all's food like? What's your favorite? Like how do you handle this? What do you do here? And I just like to know about it, you know. So for me, this is a way of like really trying to create something that everybody can dig. Like there's metal, there's punk, there's funk, and there's hip hop, there's EDM and electronics, and then it's a rock album. You know what I mean? And then if you really pay attention to the way that Josh touches the guitar, a lot of people pick up on like he's a country bluegrass guitar player. So for us, it's like we created an album. And when you add it in with our previous work, it's like we can go play country shows, we can go play rock shows, we can go play metal shows, we can play hip hop shows. For me, it's like the whole thing is a nonchalant attempt at diversity without trying to be like, oh, hey, internet, we're super diverse and
like
woke
real
people.
diversity
Yeah, dude. It's like,
what's real rock and roll.
yeah, it's
pure rock and roll.
yeah, for me, it's a lot more trying to be genuine and a lot less like posting a black square on your Instagram. You know what I mean? It's like I don't necessarily need this album to be about race and cultural diversity, but like for me, the way that the album was constructed was listening and opening myself up to share back and forth like all these other cultures. You know?
Yeah,
I had my roommate in college. His name's Maher. I haven't talked to him in a long time. He was from Saudi Arabia, and he had not even been in America for like a year. And he ended up being one of my best friends. And like this dude, he was diehard, like all the way fully in Muslim. Like prayed 5 times a day, wore his robe around. I never saw him drink. I never saw him smoke. I never saw him hang out with girls. Every night he would fall asleep to the Quran playing, and it would be sung, you know, because they have like sort of a melodic approach to the way that they pray. And man, I mean, I would just sit there with that dude every day, and like we would compare and contrast like the Bible and the Quran, and we would talk about like his culture and the way that his people live and what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. And you know, we would just trade back and forth. And that's just one story.
At that point?
Huh?
Were you still a Baptist at that point?
No, I grew up like in a super Christian family, man, and I was always very curious and I never rejected it. I asked questions. And the early form of those questions looked like as a 5-year-old, like, Mommy, can I take my blankie to heaven? Because this is my favorite blankie. And like, is there a play place in heaven? Like, is there a McDonald's in heaven? Like, I would ask questions like that. But then as I got older, I just hear all these people like dedicate your life to this, give your whole self to this, immerse yourself in this, obsess over this, and make this whole thing your life. And then they would leave church and then go not do that.
Yeah.
And so I was always like, yo, like, are you guys going to obsess over this or not? Because I got some questions.
Yeah.
So I think it eventually got to a point where I looked around and I felt like a lot of my family was just nodding their heads and doing and saying whatever would keep them out of hell
That's
when
how
they
it was
die.
for me too.
Yeah. And then I had some buddies in school who were like, we were 12 years old, bro, taking a walk around the block. And one of my buddies was like, do you ever think about like God? And I'd be like, bro, I'm 12, man. Like, no, I don't. And then he was like, I just feel like it's not real. And at that time, I wasn't in tune with anything. So I would say that was kind of a slope for me where I sort of started rejecting like a lot of my family, and some stuff was going on in interiorly, like with my family as well. So I started just sort of rejecting everything that I came from and adopting like atheism, dude. And me and like a couple other people in my high school were like the atheist prophets of our high school, bro.
I did the exact same shit when I left.
Yeah.
I was like obnoxiously atheist, like preachy atheist.
Which is hilarious because, I did that for a few years. And then at a certain point, I had like some sort of spiritual awakening. And now I look at atheism as like, dude, those people are missing a part of their brain and they don't realize it.
Well, yeah, it's a religion.
It's an unactivated part. It's another religion, and they are taking pride in
it's like conforming to non-conformity.
Exactly, which is another conformity. And on top of that, it's like, spiritually, that's a part of your brain. And when you're an atheist versus someone after, like post-atheism, looking back at atheism, it's like, yo, they don't get it. You know what I mean? But it's funny because
the Christians don't get it either.
Exactly. Yeah.
No one fucking gets it.
Yeah. So I feel like atheism is just like the first step to a spiritual awakening, and it's like the early step of rejecting and denying the social norm that is American, like Western Christianity. Because Christianity, when you really get into it, like I'm all about it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's always been my problem is the people that claim it don't know shit
that's the Church of Satan, bro. Like Christianity is Satan's church, and it's sad because it was never meant to be that. But it is. And they don't know that. And the way that it's set up is a trick to where it's like going to church isn't satanic. Like reading the Bible is not satanic. Being like Jesus is not satanic. Doing any of that is not satanic. It's they get the flock in the gate and they get them, and then they put this in this certain mindset, and then it's just so easy to manipulate them.
Yeah,
it makes it easy to where they're all protected in shelter under the hand of God, and because of that, they're not worried about all this other stuff going on. So it provides like this perfect road for evil and crime to grow and exist because the Christians are like, well, I don't care, I'm going to heaven when I die. And it's like, y'all are literally led by Satan, you don't even realize it, like, or whatever it is, whatever you want to call Satan or the devil or like the evil spirits or whatever. It's like Christianity is the biggest weapon on earth to deliver Satan's goals to what he wants, you know what I mean? And it's so sad because all the people that are a part of it don't know that they're a part of it. They are all told,
of that is that the churches let people, they give them an easy way to it. It's like you don't actually have to read the word. You don't really have to understand.
You have to say this one phrase.
Yeah, as a matter of
and
fact,
you're set.
Don't read it too deeply. Just listen to my interpretation.
Yeah, exactly.
And then make sure when the plate comes around.
They just want to fast pass to Disney World because they're scared of what's going to happen if they don't get into Disney World. And it's like, man, I don't know. It's real though. Like I do believe in a certain degree of heaven and hell. I believe in like everything, like the core fundamentals of Christianity. Like I said, I'm obsessed with every religion.
I believe in it too. It's just not what they think it is. Yeah,
exactly. And I think really what happened, man, is our leaders figured out all of the most self-empowering spiritual principles and kept them for themselves, and then put the word Satan, demon, evil, villain, and use those in the same way that you can say like bigot and terrorist and all these fear-invoking words that we can use in the media to just if someone has the word pedophile on their name, it's over, dog. Like you're done, bro. Like if your name is on TV next to the word pedophile, everyone's gonna hate you forever. And that's that is word weaponization. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that what
Well,
happened,
it's rhetoric.
they they conditioned people to be afraid of the word Satan and demonic and evil. And then what they did was they took those words and they applied them to anything and everything that can break you out of this prison, anything and everything that can break you out of your chains. I do think there's evil. I do think there are demonic principles in the world. But I think a lot of the stuff that can spiritually awake, like bring you awake and show you what Jesus really was doing, they have shut those off with these words to make all the Christians afraid of them. And then when you practice them and you try to do what Jesus did, all these people who profess Christianity in their name,
they're like, oh, you're doing magic.
They're like, yeah, you're, that's witchcraft. You're going to hell. You're doing this. And it's like, man, you're like, there's no easy way to do it, bro. Like, there's no easy way to tell these people, like, you're a slave. And it's the perfect trap. Like, I honestly applaud the evil side of it for being so genius, because what a clever tactic to, like, and you can look into
it is impressive. It is very impressive how the world is controlled. So
I'm almost not mad at it. Like, it sucks because I'm poor and I have to like deal with it, But
I have a lot to say about this.
There's an old saying that says the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I have a lot to say about this. So when you get in one of these groups, ironically, you stop thinking about it. You turn your brain off to it. Because it's like, I don't have to think anymore. My pastor's telling me what it is. So you stop looking for the truth. You just accept what you're told. It is really hard to get out of something like that because of what you're saying. People identify with it.
Yeah.
I am a Baptist. That is who I am.
Well, they also add this is the truth. Everything outside of this will send you to hell.
Yeah.
If you read any book other than the Bible, you're going to hell. If you listen to anyone outside of our religion talk about God, you're going to hell. If you listen to any other prophet, you're going to hell. If you meditate, you're going to hell. If you do yoga and stretch in the morning, you're going to hell. And it's like, they literally have just created the perfect chain where it's like these people wake up and put their chains on. Like, that you don't have to crack the whip anymore because they used fear to scare them. Like, oh, I don't want to go to hell, so I have to follow these rules. But at the same time, man, like, I just being honest and playing devil's advocate with all of it, it's like, I feel like the people who subscribe to that and do it really well, they live good lives.
Yeah,
like my grandparents,
lot of them are really good people.
My grandparents, like I believe everyone's a sinner and everyone sins, but like I look at my grandma and I ask her questions about like growing up. I really don't know if my grandma has ever like sin. Like, she eats McDonald's. To me, that's, you might as well be doing fucking hard drugs. You know what I mean? But like,
hard drugs would be much better for you.
Right. It was just like, I think that there's new sin now that the Bible, like, it sort of warns you for, but like, sugar and fast food and TV and doom scrolling and reality TV, like, these are new sins that have come from the future that I definitely think a lot of Christian people like are guilty of, but like they don't know better. You know what I mean?
A lot of those things kind of, when you think about it, I think that's the idea of the seven deadly.
Yeah,
they do come back to them, but
way to kind of culminate. You can, like eating bad food is,
gluttony.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And I've always seen the sins
like porn would be lust.
The seven deadly sins aren't biblical though.
Right. Well,
that's a Catholic thing.
Yeah.
But the idea is that you can almost apply every single one of them in a small way.
Yeah, they're all umbrellas.
So it's such a, and that's the way I've always thought about those to look at, not to say, and I think some people would construe it to say, well, I can't fit this act into any of these, so I'm good.
Yeah.
And
I do think there's a spiritual power in purity, abstaining from anything. Like, I think sin is self-destructive behavior, period. Any form of, whether it be drugs or sex or violence or eating too much candy.
Self-destructive behavior, that's hard to argue against.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Well, it strips away all the religious, like, shit. It opens it up to where it's like, okay, this is science now. Like this isn't somebody being preachy. It's like there are self-destructive tendencies that you can adopt.
And it's bad to do that.
To adopt a lifestyle where you partake in zero self-destruction, like whatever, like don't do any of it. Like I do think your life will be better.
Oh, yeah.
But I think
absolutely.
that it's the way that those people have subscribed to that those people are being weaponized. Like I think any form of prohibition in America is a ticket to grow the black market. If you say we're banning alcohol, no, you're not. You're taking the alcohol business and you're giving it to the criminals, whether it be abortion, guns, drugs, alcohol, sex,
whatever it is,
whatever you want to say. And it's so funny that it's the Christian community saying, don't do that, because the Christian community claims the Bible. What happens when you open up the first fucking page of the Bible? God literally says, hey, humans, you're not allowed to do that. Don't do that. That's not Adam and Eve's mom talking. That's not their boss or their teacher or a cop. That's the dude who created the human brain. He created the human brain and then said, hey, human brain, don't go do that thing. The very next thing that happens is they go and do that thing. And now all these people who worship that story, allegedly, or say they do, are going around saying, you can't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And it's like, I just think you should pay attention. I think you should start asking questions, and you should stop zoning out in church, or just don't go, because what are you doing right now? You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. And
don't go to church, Alice.
I think that's part of the idea of when they say accepting that everyone is a sinner, because I don't think we are intended to line ourselves up so perfectly that it is the perfect life. We are expected to do that, because when you do that, it becomes contrived. You know, and then if you're a deity or a being that's looking to respect that, or as a lot of times we discuss on here, you're the universe trying to experience these things. You're going to get bored. You're going to be like, well, y'all are just trying to live like me. I kind of wanted to kick it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're all born sinners in this thing that, like, mechanically we're all wired with an expiration date, and we're all wired with some sort of like attraction to
the dark,
to self-harm, and it's fun. It feels good.
I would say that's what rock and roll is an attraction to danger.
Yeah, it is. And I think
it's like I'm skating around the edge of death, basically.
And it's appealing to people, but I think that that's a natural phenomenon. And I think when you talk about Christ or Christendom or purity or like abstaining in any form, it's a choice. So I think we're born on a conveyor belt of sin, where your natural tendency is to make the worst possible choices. And that's just humanity. But every day, all day, we get a list of choices every day to rise above and choose Christendom. You know what I mean? And I think in that respect, like, I'm all for church, and I'm all for the Bible, and I'm all for everything. I just think that American Christianity is a lot of people who are humble and wholesome, and they have taken shelter under the Lord's hand. The Lord is their rock, aka they live under a rock. They don't know what the fuck is going on. And what happens is these people are shutting themselves off to the reality, because they think, well, who cares? I'm going to heaven. Fuck all those sinners. Those people are all going to hell. I don't really care what happens to them. And it's like, okay, meanwhile, 6 pedophiles just moved into your neighborhood. The government's doing this. The Catholic Church is doing this. These people are doing this. And you're just over here like, well, I don't care, because I'm in the secret club and you guys can't get in. And it's like, you are letting the world fall based on your own faith. And what's happening is like, oh, let's ban abortion. You're not banning abortion. You're handing abortion business to people in back alleys.
Yeah.
You're not banning weed.
Dirty dancing.
You're creating gangs. Gangs exist and thrive and take power, and cartels and mafias. Those people are all doing what they're doing because prohibition.
The government does that on purpose.
Oh, for sure. They set up a game, and it's like, you spend the money on the drugs, and then you go to prison for the drugs and spend more money. And it's like, dude, I mean, they're hedging their bets.
They confiscate the drugs and quote unquote destroy the drugs.
Yeah. And it's like, I just think it's
I've destroyed quite a few drugs too.
It's like, it's sad for me because it's like, what can you really do? Because those people live such great, wholesome, happy, pure lives that it's like, I've never, like I said, eventually I had like a sort of a spiritual like awakening or whatever. And I realized like I went back and tried to talk to my grandpa, who's a preacher, and I tried talking to like a lot of my like super Christian family, and like they just sit there, bro, and nod their head and go, you should be a doctor. And
That's how
it's
my
like,
parents are too.
and they're cool people, man, but it's like I don't want to add the fear of the reality of life. And maybe I'm not there yet, and that's what real Christianity is the mental superpower of just shutting off all forms of fear and darkness and just living in complete bliss. We'll call it bliss to be nice.
I don't think that's a strength. So I moved out when I was 18.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize till I was probably like 23, 24. Like I could not figure out, like, and as a kid, this plagued me the whole time. Is like, I have all these questions that I'm not getting good answers to.
Yeah.
How are these people that are way smarter than me not seeing what I'm seeing?
Right.
Because I know I'm not smarter than them.
Yeah.
I know that's not the case. So what's going on here? It wasn't until I was an adult that I realized I was lucky to get out at 18.
Yeah.
Because if I had stuck around till I was 30, I'm not leaving.
Mm-hmm.
That's everything I am.
Yeah.
That if you're 50 years old and you've been a Christian your whole life, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens is people get stuck in their beliefs when they start to identify with it. And what's funny is like growing up in a cult like I did, it's really easy for me to see that this is exactly what's happening with politics too.
Yeah.
Like I am a Christian. I am a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
I am a Muslim. I am a Republican.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're not. You're a human being.
I think to identify as any of those things exemplifies that you have no clue what you're talking about. Because at the end of the day, like if you're a Buddhist, you're just a smart person. If you're a Christian, you're just a human who makes good choices.
Yeah.
And we put all these labels on it, and it's like, all right, like if you have to,
easy for people to have a list of things.
Yeah, like
vegan and vegetarian, and people what are you vegetarian? I'm like, I don't.
It's kind of like mental disorders too.
Look at a label and then look at the list of what I need to check off.
Yeah,
I'll learn things and I decide how to live for
it's like overly subscribing to the criteria makes me think that you're not looking at the source of the information. And that was what was hard for me, man, was like I got really into Christianity in a sense of like archaeologically, whatever the fuck, historically, diving into the way that the Bible is used to manipulate people, like all the non-faith perspectives
the Roman
of the Bible.
Control Manual.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I started diving into all this stuff, and then that starts leading me into like earlier forms. Like you start realizing like, oh, it's been rewritten over and over by a bunch of kings and a bunch of politicians. And then you just keep diving down, and you start finding all these old religions, and you start like, okay, what did the people like? Jesus wasn't a Christian. What were the people that believed in all this stuff and wrote these
Jews.
books? Like, what were their belief system?
They
and
were
then
Jews.
You look at something like Judaism, and it's like that's not just that's a surface level topic. Judaism has a lot of branches. Like you can look into like
all those tribes.
Kabbalah. You ever get into that? That's like the science of the matrix, bro.
Well, that's a lot of what we kind of talk about. Like when we talk is like the universe speaking itself into existence. Like,
well, it's like they knew about fucking Neo and Morpheus 2,000 years ago. You know what I mean? And it's like, damn, dude, like everything got covered up. Yeah. And it's like, and then now, like, I feel like right now, that's a whole other conversation, but I feel like they're trying to, in ways like, there's two sides of it, but they're trying to sort of vilify like a lot of Jewish philosophy. And it's like, you can say what you want, man, but I feel like when you dive into Jewish philosophy and theology and science and like the way that they see things, they figured some shit out, bro.
I know a lot more about Old Testament than I do about New Testament.
Yeah. Well, it's like Game of Thrones. It's like kind of more fun,
It's way more fun. And Judaism is nuts. It's like you're saying, it splinters off the same way Christianity does.
Yeah.
There's 100 branches of it. But those guys, like you're saying, thousands of years ago, figured it out.
Yeah.
Like figured out what is going on.
To a T.
Yeah. Like,
and your religious men were your scholars. You know,
I mean, I just,
that's where the schools, yeah.
Well, it's just funny because I feel like if you become like a master monk Buddhist or a Kabbalist or, you know, even like a real Muslim who's really abiding by like the good stuff, you end up at salvation, like to a certain degree. You know what I mean? Like you end up without sin. You end up in a higher consciousness. It's like I definitely agree with the Johnny Cash quote that says any man who really wants the truth will eventually end up at Jesus. Like I think that the prodigal son, the story of Jacob, is the way to go. Like I think growing up in church and staying in church your whole life, you're never actually gonna realize how real it is. But as fucked up as it is to say, man, like when you start off with that and then you reject it and you run away from it and you get yourself into a bunch of trouble and realize, oh, that's what sin is. That's what heaven is. That's what salvation is. Once you get hit with it, then you go back to it. Like that's why that's the story of Jacob in the Bible is like, that's why God let him do that and wanted him to do that because he knew he was going to fuck it up. But it was like, now that you have fucked up and come back, like you are so useful now because now you can communicate with all the people who don't get it because you went out and lived that life. And like, I feel like my purpose in life, like when I had my spiritual awakening or whatever and talked to like God, he explained like, I wanted you to be atheist for like 10 years because I wanted you to ask all those questions and do all that research. And then now you can talk to anybody and you can answer any of those questions with ease. And because when you're an atheist, man, and you try to talk to Christians, they're like, well, you just got to have faith. And it's like, you don't know anything about what you're talking about. You didn't even read the book. You're not paying attention in church. You're just saying this shit because your fucking parents told you to. And
atheists know more about the Bible than Christians
always.
do.
And that's why they're atheists.
Because they're like, well, actually, it says here. Yeah. But Christians can't do that.
And it's just like, man, like, honestly, for me, dude, like, in my obsession, in my, like, journey or whatever, I tried this book out called The Witch's Bible. I got one chapter in, and then I got kind of weird and started getting like right into the rituals. And I was like, I'm going to wait a few years before I die. But the first chapter explained that there is a God in a more simplified, easy to digest, rational, holy fuck, there's definitely a God. Like, you know what I mean? It lays out like the seasons and the way that like the animals behave and like bears hibernating and birds flying south and like the sun and the moon and the stars spinning. And it's like you live in a giant machine. Like there is a mechanical operation to the reality that you're inside of. And you can connect with the nature. You can be a part of the nature cycle and you can become one with it and start to navigate the way that nature works through a relationship with God, essentially, is how I would perceive it. You know what I mean? And I think that they're all little pieces to a big puzzle.
Yeah.
But I also think that when you get to the finish line, it looks a lot like being a basic American Christian. In a certain way, I definitely think going around the whole circle and studying all these different things and then ending up there is a superior way to do it. But where I'm at in my like spiritual path is like I'm looking back and it's like, damn, did I ever need any of this? Because really where it's all pointing is like there are demons and you have to defend yourself against the demons.
That's where I'm at is like I agree with most of what you're saying, but I think a lot of Americans are, and this is becoming less true, but it's still true that a lot of Americans are content. Like, just kind of like, I put this in God's hands.
Yeah.
I'm stepping away from it. But like you're saying, you have to defend yourself.
Right.
And you cannot defend yourself while there's a knife in you.
Yeah.
You have to do whatever it takes to get that person away from you. And then you can start to heal. But that's where I'm at is in my spiritual journey is the evil that I see is control.
Yeah.
It is anybody who tries to tell another person what they can and cannot do is evil. Because I'm an adult.
Yeah.
Like, I know, and we're all fucking confused and scared. We have
sure.
no idea what the fuck is going on. For anyone to tell me what I can and can't put in my body or what I can't do, and you can definitely take this philosophy too far and say, okay, well then it's okay for you to kill people. That's not what I'm saying, because now you're infringing on someone else's will.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is liberate yourself. And the point I get to in my spiritual journey is we have to liberate ourselves. We are being attacked by something that is evil.
Yeah.
And it's not going to change its mind. We have to, not just America, the world has to stand up to oppression.
Yeah.
And say, no, we're going to fucking kill all of you if you don't give us what we deserve as a human.
I think for me, I look at a lot of it and I like to ask why. I have found that every time that my ego decides what's right and what's wrong, the very next day, an exception presents itself. Mm-hmm. And every time I think like this over here is good and this is bad, somebody shows up with these qualities and helps me. And then somebody shows up with these qualities and fucks me over. And it's like, okay, maybe I'm wrong. So what I try to do is I try to just watch this whole thing like I'm an alien watching a Discovery Channel documentary. Like I try to pull myself out of it, and I try to take any and all bias that I have and get rid of it. And where I'm at with it is I think the way that the average human looks at cattle and cows and chickens and pigs, I think that's how the rich see us.
Yeah.
And that doesn't justify it. And I don't mean when I say that it's okay and that we should just get over it. I just feel like that if you want a solution, you need to start there. Like you can't.
They're so arrogant that they think they won. They don't even care at this point.
Yeah.
If we know that.
Right.
Because they don't think we can do anything about
because
it.
People don't want to.
Yeah.
And the people that can are too busy. It's like, it sucks, man, because I feel like a lot of the people that know are trying to be famous right now. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's just it's like, what can you even do? Because it's so thick. It's like, you could find like, I don't know, fucking BlackRock or whatever you want to point and be like, they're the problem. You could take their CEO out and their staff. There's 100 people to replace them. Mm-hmm. We're not. The Bible says we're not at war with any people. We're at war with principalities of evil and darkness.
Yeah.
So it's like going and getting violent with our leaders. It's going to work for a week. And now we're going to have new shitty leaders who are probably going to be even worse because now they're going to try and make sure that they defend themselves against what brought down the last guy.
I do agree with you. I think, and you're right, you're not going to solve anything by assassinating the president.
Right. Yeah.
What you can do, like, you seen Fight Club?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, that solution was, let's blow up the banks.
Yeah.
Until they just... And what happens is if you cost them enough money, they'll have some nerd crunch the numbers and be like, actually, it's going to cost us less money to just give these people what they want.
Right. Yeah.
Like they're causing so much damage to our infrastructure that it's so expensive at this point that we have to just give people what they want.
Yeah.
And I think that, like the Boston Tea Party, like it's not violent exactly, but it's destruction of property.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the solution.
It's so unfortunate that like violence works. Like it doesn't always work, but like on a human scale of trying to create change, how often do you see change that's not either violence or some sort of like weird social media manipulation?
For years, violence is absolutely what has shaped this planet.
Everything.
Well, and they're using violence against us, which is like, okay, well, fair is fair then.
It's the monopoly on violence.
Yeah. I just like, I don't, it just sucks because it's like, like if you ever sit down and you talk to like a police officer, motherfuckers, they don't know shit, bro. They don't fucking, they're not the bad guy. They're just kind of dumb.
I have a lot to say about that too.
And some of them are really cool, man. There's there's some really, really cool cops. And honestly, after all the riots and shit that happened in 2020, I know that like I'm white and I can't really speak on it, but like I've noticed, at least in my life, cops are a lot cooler now.
Yeah,
like I think
more
that those
scared.
riots scared the shit out of all the bad eggs.
Should.
And that's what I'm saying though, is like, okay, that worked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
it fucking works.
It created change. So
there's a lot of places police will not go.
Auditors now and cop watchers now.
Yeah.
Police are scared to overstep
Well, it's
their
like,
boundaries.
dude, I've barely been pulled over, and anytime I've been pulled over, man, everybody's been so cool. And it's like, sure, I'm a white boy, whatever, and maybe the problem's not fully over, but it just feels like, whereas before everyone wanted to make it seem like the cops were the problem, and it's like, bro, that is literally some dude you went to high school with trying to bring home food for his family.
So I have a lot to say about that. So radical jihadist terrorists are raised that way.
Exactly.
That is all they know.
Yeah.
Is you need to kill infidels so you can go to heaven.
And you ain't allowed to say why.
No, you'll get stoned.
Yeah, dude.
No, you're in this.
Yeah.
And if you're not, we'll kill you.
Yeah.
That's how that is. I don't blame them.
Right.
I blame the system.
Yeah.
Same with police. It's a bunch of good, same with Christians. It's a bunch of good people
being led by evil shit.
That is, it's now where it gets tricky is you gave
that most cops who have gotten other police officers arrested or charged for not doing right end up getting pushed off the force.
Yeah.
You know,
they kick you out if you're not corrupt.
They don't like servant code.
And so you gave an example of, and it's the same thing with me. I've never had a bad encounter with police. It's usually like, I actually have like some stories about like, I was being really stupid and they would have been fully within their legal rights to arrest me.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They let me go.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about that is though, yeah, that's awesome. But not infringing upon my rights is not like you don't deserve a reward for that.
Yeah, right.
That's
the
bare fucking minimum.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like if a good encounter with a cop is a neutral thing, that's not a good thing. That is the bare fucking minimum of what our experience with them should be, is you weren't abused.
Right.
So now, okay, I don't like being a Karen, but if I got an issue with a product, the way it's set up, I can't talk to the CEO of that company.
Yeah.
I have to talk to the employee who's getting paid minimum wage, who does not give a fuck.
Yeah.
They're the one who has to hear.
Yeah.
And that sucks, but they did sign up to represent that company. Same with police. I don't think these are bad people, but you're the one who decided to put on that badge.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, you have decided to be a wall
in
front of the super rich and the politicians. You signed up for that.
For sure.
So I mean,
why some of the smaller town forces they're basically gangs.
Yeah.
Because they do have corrupt heads on there, and they're
dude. My buddy just got robbed in Mississippi by the cops. They found some weed in his truck, and they were like, "We're gonna let you go, but I'm gonna call my wife, and you have to Venmo her $200, or you're going to jail." And it's like, what? That's fucking crazy.
That's the kind of stuff where they're only hiring cops that they know are down with that kind of activity, you know.
And those are the kind of like,
and you have forces. Metro here in Davidson County, I have to say, is pretty laid back.
Man. I will say that, like, real shit, if I have a problem, I don't call the cops. I call my local drug dealer, because they have your back and they will get the fucking job done, dude. I got my shit robbed by a trap lord like 3 years ago. Called the cops. Nothing. I called my local trap lord. He went and got my fucking shit back immediately, dude. Immediately. Because they know how it works. You know what I mean? It's like they're in that world. They know those people. They know where everybody hangs out. They know all the territories. They know where to go and where not to go. And it's like, man, if you have a problem with some criminal shit going on, it sucks that I'm saying this because I understand the morality behind it, but it's like, go hire another criminal to help you because they're going to help you way more than the cops
Well,
going to
and
help
I think what we're realizing here is, only in a moral sense, the police are criminals.
Oh, for sure.
Like, so it's just which gang, the gang that helps you when you need help,
right?
Or the gang that exclusively fucks you over. And sometimes they don't fuck you over, which is nice, I guess.
Yeah, right.
But like, they don't do shit for you.
Yeah.
Like, the police have never done shit for anybody.
They'll show up and a day later and want to come in.
Yeah.
And if you got any contraband laying out, they're gonna charge you with it. Even
it's like, you showed up to help me. What the fuck?
Right. Got kicked in and all my shit got taken. And you walked in and decided to be like, what's up with the bong over here?
Yeah.
You know?
Like, dude, fuck you. Get the fuck out of here.
No, I know a dude who got his whole face rearranged in a fight. He got jumped and the doctors were like, you will never look human again. And the cops were like, we found a gram of marijuana on the site. So this is a crime scene and like technically we can't do anything. And it's just like,
oh my God.
Okay. Like,
yeah, like in the best case scenario, they're useless.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, and it's crazy.
It's and again, so it's not their fault. It's the system. It's designed where they cannot do shit. They cannot do shit.
I know it's a silly, touchy subject, but like it's election season. I feel like you're an RFK guy.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, I like RFK. I am skeptical of. Well, I have a lot to say about that.
It's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit.
We already know that. So let's speak upon the foundation of already knowing that it's all fucking bullshit.
So like I don't think our votes do anything.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
Yeah.
Like it's part of the lie that we're all sold into. But yes, I like RFK. I think he at least to me seems like the most real.
He seems like he wants to solve problems.
Yeah. At least it looks that way to me. Yeah.
I think it's all very interesting. I personally, my philosophy is if you're a character on my screen, I don't know you. Yeah. You might have said some fucked up shit, or you might have said something really cool on the screen. I still don't know you. And if working in media, if there's producers and agents and a script being read, it's like, that's not, like, you don't know Donald Trump. That's a 70-year-old ass man who's been in Hollywood and banks, and like he's worked with all these people. It's like, when he goes on TV and he says some dumb shit, there is a clever, witty source of why he said that exact dumb shit, because he knows that you're all going to cry about it.
Yeah. And
it's like, I'm just not close enough to any of it. And I think it's all bullshit anyway. So it's like, I don't really get too tied up in it. I personally think Donald Trump is bad and Kamala is evil. If that makes sense.
I cannot agree more with what you just said.
Very well.
I think Trump is like cigar in the mouth, definitely like probably killed some people. He's probably like done some criminal shit. But then Kamala's out here like drinking baby blood, dog. Like,
yes.
And I feel like Trump, like my whole like, no, I don't want to vote for him. No, I don't want to support him. No, I don't want you to vote for him. I think it's all bullshit and they're all characters. Mm-hmm. He's my favorite character because he walks in and says, this is all bullshit.
Yeah.
He without saying it directly, goes and makes an ass of himself to make you realize, wow, this is all bullshit. And then he literally goes in and he's like, all your politicians just buy their way in. Somebody's paying for that. I'm rich. I'm going to buy the Oval Office just to prove to you how fake this is. Then he goes in and he just pisses fucking all over the Oval Office. And he's just like, look how fucking stupid this is. And you're putting your faith in it. You guys think that because I'm sitting in this chair that I'm going to solve your problems. And then he goes and he just says goofy, dumb shit. And it's like, is he doing this on purpose? I don't know, but he's doing it. He's literally making an ass out of the whole system. And he's making everyone look at the system like, wow, this is fucking stupid, dude. And it's like, to me, he's Godzilla. Like, he's a monster. Fuck that. But then you keep watching the movie and you find out there's other monsters really doing some shit. And he came here because maybe he's the only dude who's a piece of shit enough to deal with the other pieces of shit.
Like, in order to fight demons, you have to be a demon.
You have to understand how it works. It's like Van Helsing.
Like Godzilla wasn't trying to save the humans. Godzilla was saving his home,
Yeah.
which is also where the humans live.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, he's helping us. It's like,
So it's like, I
He's
don't
not gonna
know.
let some other monster come step on his
no,
turf.
I still
the other
can't.
monster's actually gonna actively kill you. He just wants to go back to sleep under the
Yeah.
ocean.
Yeah.
I can't decide if it's all a big evil conspiracy and he's trying to debunk it and destroy it, or if
he's
it's
a
all
character.
if he's just a character in it looking like that, and really there is no good side.
That's exactly where I'm at too, Dusty. I can't tell.
Yeah.
I want to believe.
I just think he's
that
a
it's-
grumpy ass old dude
I hope
who's
you're
a
right.
little out of touch.
And I think that's probably true.
I don't think he's evil. I think he's just like your average locker room white guy dickhead. And it's that simple.
I hope that's right.
Frat boy that
He's not racist. He says some fucked up shit, but
he's
like,
fun at the party for about an hour.
Yeah,
and
dude.
you're like,
Yeah.
You make a good point too, that like he is like the best character. Like if this was a show we were watching, he's a very easy to engage with villain. It's like
Yeah.
oh shit, did you see the latest episode? What the fuck?
Exactly, man. I think they're all lying pieces of shit, but they go on TV and they're like, I'm not a lying piece of shit. And then he goes out and he's like, I'm definitely I'm the biggest piece of shit. I lie the most. And it's like, I can trust you. Like I know I can't trust you, and that's why I can trust you. You know what I mean?
I couldn't agree more.
Trust is like if somebody somebody is a thief.
You can trust them to be a thief.
You trust them because you know.
Yeah.
When they don't steal, then you're
like, what's up?
I definitely think he's a thug. Like he's definitely on some gangster shit. But she's on some evil shit. Like she's like
not a human.
Like the debate
He's
was
a
like
reptile.
The debate for me was like, okay, Kamala definitely won. She's the bigger, better liar. Go you. That's not good. For me, it's like Trump went up there and got all grumpy and shit, and he didn't try to manipulate. Like he was just like, half the time he didn't even like, he literally was just like, you're a liar. And it's like, that's all he had to say. And it's just like, okay, like he does look like an old man, like get off my yard. But it's like, he's not trying to play games. He's literally just like, this bitch is lying, bro. And it's like, he just kept it simple. And it's like, you know what? Like, I think this dude is a piece of shit who's trying to help. And she's part of whatever the fuck is going on, dude. Like, he's probably part of it, but like, I feel like he used to be a part of it. And now he's like, I don't want anything to do with this shit.
I really can't tell.
I also applaud his ability, because if you go and you look at an old interview with Donald Trump, he knows how to speak English. He knows how to say big words. He knows how to form full functional sentences. But then he was like, okay, I'm rushing for president now. ABC 1, 2, 3. Vote for me.
Yeah.
And he knows that
that's so true.
The most easily manipulated people, they can't go past 3 syllables. Yeah. Like, get those people.
That's why there's
like, the most of those
you need
people.
Build the wall. Like little
I'm going to be great. It's going to be huge. No explanation. He doesn't tell you how it's going to be great. He doesn't tell you any of it.
Can you believe it, folks?
My favorite is. I want
him to elaborate his points. Like, I don't really. My thing with
wouldn't that be nice if we had an actual debate?
Like
an actual conversation.
I can't fuck with him because he doesn't elaborate anything. He has this like, I don't need to elaborate and I don't need to talk because I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And I can recognize that and be like, okay, like word, like cool, but
like, what the fuck are you gonna
people
do?
don't. Yeah, you're just up there saying empty words, man, and like I just can't. Like I don't know, man. It's funny because I'm just getting older, like, and I'm starting to like, maybe there's something to voting and all that. And I think all you got to do is go work for any job where there is a corporate hierarchy, and go hang out with the people at the top, and then go hang out with the people at the bottom, and realize what the fuck is going on, and it all just makes sense, dude. Like I was a drumline coach before I moved to Nashville, and I realized that the democracy of like, oh, we're going to let the kids vote. We're going to let the kids vote. It's been decided, bro. Like the council will meet and they're like, this is what we're going to do. Let's see what the kids have to say about it. So then they make the decision and then they go, hey, kids, would you rather do A or B? They already know, but they want the kids to feel like they had a part of it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if that is how fucking Indiana marching band works, this has got to be how everything works, bro. Like if such a small little community of people are behaving in this manner where like there's a democracy, but it's not real, and everything's being overseen by the overseers, and also like a lot of the overseers were they had affairs with the judges. So it's like this whole thing is little Indiana marching band Illuminati. It was so ridiculous, dude. But it's like, okay, if this is how this works, and this is such a tiny, small, stupid little function, just imagine politics. Like, just imagine the billionaires with the top-notch scientists in the world, and like the weapon engineers, and like all these people who are they have all the resources to manipulate and control. It's like it's gotta all be fake, dog. Like, just live your life.
It's actually,
you know what I mean?
This is like well documented. Like the FBI's done studies on this, but there was a sleight of hand magician. It might have been David Blaine. One of these magician guys was talking about how it is a lot easier to trick a crowd than it is an individual.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing like a sleight of hand trick, or like you're trying to hypnotize people, it's so much easier to do with a big group of people than it is with one person.
Well, a lot of those big groups of people are going to react off the next person.
Exactly.
There's a lot of experiments like
basically
that.
tricking each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
So yeah, you're right. That's exactly how it works. And and this is what's really I'm not supposed to say, but not only did Biden get more votes than Trump this last election, but he also got more votes than any president in history.
There's just no way.
It's like, if you're gonna feed me bullshit,
That
can
just
you make me like,
happen.
can you make it like a little bit easier to digest?
Well, I mean, for me, it's like you everybody knows that RFK is running, and then the media is like, are you gonna go here or here? You get two options, and it's like, hey man, aren't there like 5 options? You get left or right.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so it's all fake. It's
Mhm.
all fake. It's like, for me, that's all it takes is like, if that's how you're gonna present this shit, when that's not even true, you're not even gonna let the third dude who everybody low-key loves way more. Like, this is not real.
That's where I'm at with, like, I hope that we actually have an outsider that's trying to make a difference against the system, and he's working on behalf of the people because he's very ego driven and he just doesn't want to lose. I hope that's what we've got, and not like the best con man ever.
Yeah, dude. Well,
that's
it's
working
just
with
that's
us.
what's fucked is like, when you talk about like the war between good and evil. I wrote like a poem about this shit forever ago and like released it as the vicious circle. When you talk about war versus peace, peace is fighting war. How the fuck that's not possible. If war starts fighting peace, peace has to fight back.
Mhm.
And if peace fights back, it's not peace. It's war now.
Well
so
said.
it's like, how do we, like, when we know that there's evil people out there and we all want to be good, how do we fight the evil people without becoming evil? So it's almost like we need like an evil Bernie Sanders. We need like an evil RFK who's gonna go up and have all the same beliefs, but also be like super cutthroat and like a little slimy. And so that's like, when I look at Trump, I'm like, I don't think he is necessarily that person, but I'm trying to like keep that shit in mind of like, what if this is the best we get? Like, what if this dude is a good piece of shit and this is all we got? Like,
as long as he's honest.
You know what I mean?
It's like we were talking about. Like, he's like, I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I lie and manipulate and use money to my advantage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I mean, I don't like you, but the competition is making it really hard not to support you because they all suck so bad.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like a lot of the dumb shit he says, he kind of has to say it. It's like, it's just a weird.
He definitely does pander. Like,
but
he's
it's
playing
like,
the game.
that's just what they're all doing. You know what I mean? They're all. But my thing
you have
is
to do that to win.
He doesn't like with Kamala. Like, she goes up and she's just like, "Don't you want someone who cares? These people are sad, and these people are," and it's like, you are manipulating the shit out of all of these saddest, most vulnerable people right now. Like, people that are just so sad, and it's like they hear like the voice of a mother, and they're like, "Oh, she must be the one. Like, she must be the good person." And it's like, I know how media works. I know how press works. I know how scripts work. I know how cameras and agents and managers and all. It's like, that's evil, bro. Like when she does that shit, I'm just like, hell no, dude. You're not even saying shit. Like not once did you tell anyone what your plan of action is. You literally just manipulated all of like the most like tapped into their feminine like inner like you're like, oh, I support gay people. It's like we're at war. I don't need you to like I want you to support everybody. I need you to be cool with every race and every sexual orientation. But like you're the leader of the army. Everyone wants what we have. No matter what you say, I don't think we need a leader who's empathetic towards gay people. We need someone who knows how to fire off a fucking nuclear bomb if it's got to come to it, dog. And it's like, I think everybody should be empathetic to all those people and everybody should be fucking cool. But the whole thing of like, oh, well, she's half black. Is she going to run the fucking military or not, bro? Like, I don't fucking care like how nice she is to gay people. That's not even who fucking like Trump. It's like look at Trump's history with
it's like that's
supporting,
nice, but I asked you about China.
You have to run the military. I don't need you to be an empathetic mother figure. I need you to be able to like run the greatest military in the world.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It sucks because I feel like as a musician, especially in Nashville, man, like everyone who has like a platform of people who are there for the music and shit like that, as soon as you get political, bro, like people get divided. You know what I mean? And it's like for me to sit here and try and talk like, maybe Trump is like the good piece of shit. It's like I already know people are going to hear that and be like, well, fuck Dustin. And it's like
Nashville is funny because it's a very, very blue city
in a red state, yeah. And it's crazy.
And I remind people of this all the time online whenever they take a shot at either side of anything.
Yeah.
About this town, I say, fun fact, Nashville has never had a Republican mayor.
Yeah.
And people are like, and y'all get both sides taking it, and they just go the fuck off. And I'm like, I'm just telling you a fun fact.
So for me, is like someone who's not even political. When I think left and right, like I see like on the right, I see trucks and like farm boys and like suits and ties and contracts. When I look on the left, I see coffee shops and juice bars and artists and
nose rings.
And nose rings. Yeah, like I see those types of people. I feel like where I identify is I want to hang out with the left. I want to live with the left. I want to create with the left. I want to live in a leftist world. I do not want any of those motherfuckers running the world.
Well, they're not. Those are not the people running the world. It's that's the thing. Is there is no left and right.
Yeah, for sure. It's all stereotype and generalization.
It is
for sure.
The oligarchy of companies that run everything.
Yeah.
Pulling the strings on the same people.
But I think it's like on a smaller social, it's like when you start talking to like when I talk to a lot of my artistic friends that are like really, really into like their political views and stuff, it's like I think that the left is ideologically perfect. Like I think the right is realistic and the left is a lot of like ideological stuff. Like the right is based on like when you get out and you try to change the world, some shit happens and you get snapped into reality real fucking quick and you realize like, oh, this is the way that it works. And I feel like the right is like, they know that and they live by that. And then the left is like these people who are like, hey, can't we do better? Like, shouldn't we do better? Can we progress this? Can we fix this? Can we fix these things? And it's like, please try. Like, I want you to try that. I want you to go out. I want you to make those changes and I want you to. But I think a lot of those people, like on a social lower ground, like I'm not talking about like the politicians. I'm talking about the homies. You know what I mean? A lot of my leftist homies don't get off the couch.
They don't do shit.
They don't really do shit. And so it's like they have all these ideas of like, well, shouldn't it be like this? And it's like, go try it and talk to me next week. Yeah. And it's like, I feel like that's just the way everything is right now is you've got all these people that are so divided. And it's like, these people are like, oh, let's make it better. Let's make it better. And it's like, well, go try to make it better and see what the reality of that looks like. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like, I don't want to hang out with the righties. I think that like, I'm not talking politically. I'm talking socially. Like the people that are like America, fucking trucks and beer, like they're cool people. They're great people, man. Those people built our country. Like those people straight up build fucking everything, and they're the reason we can sit on the left and smoke weed and talk about aliens and what the world could be better at. You know what I mean? But like, I think that the farm boy patriots are like the foundation of America, and then the progressives are like, how do we make this better? Like, how do we make this
also
cooler?
like it's funny how America fuck yeah is a right wing thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, can we not have pride in America?
Yeah.
Like that's why is that political?
Yeah.
Where it's like, because the reason is one is about globalism. Where it's like it's not about America. It's about us as a global community, which is fine if other countries don't want to destroy us.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like if we didn't have political enemies
that's
that
what
want
I'm
to
saying.
destroy America.
And that's why the whole Trump thing is like, yeah, he is an asshole. Like, bro, you don't understand how gangster politics is. Like, we got Russia over here, we got China, we got all these people that are just waiting for us to slip up. And it's like, I would prefer to have like a little bit of an arrogant fucking douchebag gangster asshole who people are afraid of and don't like, rather than like a softie who is just gonna like be nice to gay people. Like go be nice to gay people, man. But like
people have forgotten that the president was commander in chief of the military.
That's what I'm saying.
Technically, all they were.
You do kind of need like a hard ass to run the
military. Yeah, bro. It's like I want a stone cold killer, and I feel like we don't have any of the I don't think any of the candidates really are fit for that. You know what I mean? But
there's way more qualified people that will never
be. We're talking about the chair of who's running the military when it's against a dude who everyone's like, he's an offensive asshole. And then she's so nice.
And we're not talking about any actual issues.
Yeah. It's like, okay, if that's the only criteria that I'm getting, and we're talking about the dude who presses the bomb those motherfuckers button, like we should pick that guy. You know what I mean? But it's like, can we get anyone else? You know what I mean? Like, can we just like
literally anyone else?
Yeah. And it's just, I think that the fact that those are the two options is just enough for me to be like, yo, there's something up, dude. Like, because in the past, it's like you look at
how many times are we gonna keep falling for this?
Yeah. That's what's weird, bro.
And I think I'm not alone in this, where a lot of people are starting to get fed up. Yeah. Like a lot of people are aware of what we're talking about, and they're getting really pissed off and impatient. And it seems to me like an inevitability. This is what happens this is what happened to Rome right before it collapsed.
That's how I feel too.
Like,
but I don't think it has to be doomsday. I think it's fixable. Like, I think we can save ourselves.
We got to get our hands dirty though.
People need to put their phones down, man. It's like people are so easily manipulated by fear, and on both sides, you know what I mean? There's just so much to say about it. I to a certain extent, like I'm a little afraid. I'm a lot less afraid of the leaders, and I'm a lot more afraid of how many people in your community are that easily deceived and will get fucking pissed at you for not being easily deceived.
Yeah.
Because then you're an asshole.
I don't play that game at all. People are kind of afraid to engage deep in
to find out they've been tricked, and they do not want it. You know, what is the saying? It's way easier to trick somebody than it is to convince them they've been tricked.
Exactly.
And like what you were saying about like coming on a podcast and like saying some shit that's gonna like turn some other people away.
Yeah.
Like if I was like a big like Trumper,
it
would be really easier for people to point at what they don't like about me.
Yeah.
But my only real political opinion is, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I fucking hate the government.
Yeah.
I hate control system. And I take this all the way to God. Like it's I have an issue with authority.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's something I have to work out.
I mean, I do too. I have a long history of doing the very, very best I can, and authorities who maybe don't deserve their position don't like me. Mm-hmm. Because what happens, and it sucks because every time I talk about it, it sounds so cocky and arrogant, but it's like the leaders aren't necessarily the most proficient, and I show up and people a lot, if this is something that I'm passionate about, like I suck at some shit, you know what I mean? But if it's something that I love and I'm passionate about, what I've noticed is people start sort of looking to me as like, hey, you know, the boss, the teacher, the coach, he doesn't care about this as much as you do. So what happens is people start looking to me, and then the coach is like, okay, we have to solve this problem because we're losing control and people are going to him. And it's like a really small version of like any powerful like dude who rose up, like a fucking, like a JFK or a John Lennon, or obviously those are huge exaggerations, but like we have all these characters that they got too powerful. Everyone started questioning things. Everyone started undermining authority because they realized like, yo, this dude should be in charge. And I have like a fucking long history, man, of like my authority not caring about quality. They don't care about success. They care about their paycheck. They care about what's convenient for them, like all the way to parents, all the way to teachers and coaches, all the way to bosses. And it's like I show up and I'm like, hey, can I do 11 out of 10? And they're like, we need you to stop at 7 out of 10. And it's like, I'm not here for your silly little hometown agenda. Like, I want to make history, bro. Like, I want to be great. That's why I left coaching. I was a teacher and I wanted to build strong leaders.
Yeah.
I wanted to create musicians. And some of my upper, authorities were like, hey, man, you got to realize like your job isn't to create musicians. Your job is to teach children how to follow directions and fall in line. And I said, here's my keys. You can suck my balls. And I moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
And that always happens, man. Like my whole life has literally been a never ending sequence of whoever's in charge hates me because I care more than they do. You know what I mean? And I'm right with you, man. It's like I just look at so many authority figures and I'm just like, I just reject all of it. You know what I mean?
A lot of us are feeling that way.
Yeah.
Like, we're not alone in that. The problem is a lot of people just go, well, there's nothing I can do about it. No, there's quite a fucking bit we can do about it. And I'm just, it is going to, like, whether it's a good thing or not, it is going to reach a point where people do something about it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's happening for sure. It's like almost,
I wish it would happen sooner rather than later.
I think my thing is like, why? Like, I want to genuinely know why the leaders of America want America to be weak and feeble.
Because they're controlled by the people that run the country don't work for America. They work for
but like
other interests.
What's that like? We're talking about the future soldiers. We're talking about the future politicians. We're talking about the future leaders of the world. And you're literally they're trying to make our kids just fucking stupid. And it's like, where do you think this is going to go? Like, you're going to make millions of dollars off your pharmaceuticals. Cool. What are you going to do when everyone in society is fucked up? What do we do after that? What are you going to do with your money when you can't spend it on anything because everywhere you'd spend your money is low quality shit?
There's no investment in the future. And this actually comes back to the atheism thing too, where it's like nothing happens after I die. What matters is, well, you can easily get into like hedonism at that point where it's like all that matters is how good my quality of life is.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if I fuck people over in order to get this way.
Yeah.
I don't even care about.
I think a lot of those people probably have been fucked over too, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hurt people hurt people.
I mean, nerds run the world, dog. And that's what we get for pushing them into lockers in high school. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like that's what a lot of it is like, you fuck with these people for so long and then they grow up and they become CEOs and fucking build weapons and like,
and they become
now they're like, why should I care about society when society spat on me my whole life and now I'm fucking rich and can do whatever I want? So it's like, it's almost like a revenge thing, man. And
yeah, it is.
I always try to completely unbias myself from all that shit. And I try to just ask why. You know what I mean? Like,
you hit the nail on the head. It's that they don't like society because society has hurt them. And like a school shooter, they're just gonna like immaturely take it out on everyone. Everyone's at fault for something that Kyle did when I was 13 years old.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why. I mean, and you make a good point too. Like, that person could have been a good person. It was the events in their life that made them the way they are.
Sometimes it's the lack of the way they're being raised.
I feel like no villain is a villain, man. Like, I think every single human on this planet thinks in some way, shape, or form they're doing the right thing. I think everybody's the hero of their own story. And so that's why it's really hard for me to like get mad at our leaders, because I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, what do you think you're doing? You know what I mean? It's like I want my music to get far enough where I can meet like the Diddy's of the world and just be like, why are you doing this? Like, do you think you're doing the right thing? Like, what did you think that you were doing? You know what I mean? Or like, I just want to know, like, are y'all evil and you're trying to make everyone stupid for a reason? Or do you just make a lot of money on something that coincidentally makes everyone stupid? Like, is the pharmaceutical industry, like I saw Theo Vaughn did a podcast with Trump and he asked him, he said, are these pharmaceutical industries trying to make people stupid because they're evil? Or do they just make a lot of money off doing it and don't care that they're making people fucked up?
Which is such a good question.
And Trump was just like, there's a lot of money. He didn't really elaborate, of course. But like I think that that's possible, man. Like, I think that a lot of these big conspiracy theories are a lot less. It is possible that they're actually evil dudes in fucking robes, killing babies and shit, whatever. But it's like, I feel like a lot of it just is dudes making money and they're really good at it. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's like, if you go work at a candy store, you're going to pay your rent and motherfuckers get cavities. If you work at McDonald's, people's hearts are going to fail and you're going to pay your rent.
And if you're slinging fentanyl, then
it's like how is that different than what the billionaires are doing? Maybe they're just doing it more. Like, maybe because they make more money, there's more side effects. Like, that's how I try to at least.
I've been saying for years, it's like the system is an engine that keeps getting more components added to it. It's like the government. It's gotten so big and reliant on the components of itself to fix it and keep it running. It won't stop running now.
It's also
like you get in there. And if you're from a family that is up in these power positions, that's the only way you really get in there. And by a family, it doesn't always necessarily be blood relatives, but you're in that area, so you're expected that. So you're raised from the ground up. Those people don't get all the same prescriptions that, you know what I mean?
Right.
They don't get hit with all the same therapy and everything that everybody else does because they know. Their people know.
And I even look at like a lot of the control mechanisms that we're talking about, and it's messed up, man. But then it's like, scroll down any comment section on Instagram, and I feel like the average intelligent person should be like, maybe democracy is not the best choice, because it's like there's a lot of dumb motherfuckers that want to have a say. There's a lot of people with really uninformed, uneducated opinions, and the internet is giving all these people, like all the people who are too busy to do shit, it's like you don't hear them on the internet as much. The loudest people on the internet are the ones doing the least amount of shit. Like, obviously that's a huge generalization, but it's like you start looking into control theories and mechanisms, and it's like, what would happen in a world where the government's not trying to control everybody? Like, I mean, I don't know. I think maybe
it would do very little. It would be, and that's where like the libertarian thing comes in, where it's like, if the government was not trying to manipulate and control everybody, it would do the bare minimum of what it's supposed to. So like military, we could even debate if infrastructure is necessary. But like just the bare bones essentials is what the military would look like if it wasn't trying to do all the other shit it's doing, like regulation and stuff. Now,
I think it's a lot of us aliens too. Just like, we ain't even got to talk about that, but it's like where I'm at is like, I ask why and why and why and why, and it's like Star Wars. Like, it's like, what else?
There's so many moving pieces to
it. It's like, just like, why is this a thing other than like aliens? It's like, I don't know.
Well, it's like you're saying, there's a lot of money in it. There's also like the Kabbalistic cult that like gets from, like, they learn this from the Bible. Like, they think they're being good servants.
Right.
That like they think basically like the way they're manipulating everybody. You ever heard of karmic law? So like a carton of cigarettes in very big font says this will give you cancer.
Yeah.
So now if it gives you cancer, the people that sold that to you are not karmically at fault.
Yeah.
Because they told you exactly what they were doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like basically the way these people look at it, like the cult part of it, their philosophy is that if you fall for it, you deserve to fall for it.
Yeah.
If you rise above it, then it's kind of like a sifting thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, well, you're one of us then. You're one of like the elite.
Yeah.
You're not just a human. Like that's how they see it. And yeah, I mean the alien thing is a whole thing.
Yeah, that's like an entirely other subject, but I don't know, man. I think it's a really scary time. But even going back to the album, man, like that's kind of what I wanted to do, is just create an album that sort of alludes and directs the focus to like secret societies, aliens, other dimensions. And it's like I didn't pack the whole album with that. I just put little sprinkles of that. And then a lot of the lyrics are simple, like, oh, let's take shots and dance and party. And it's like I wanted to create like a Trojan horse of like all this shit that I think people should look into, and then cover it in like, check out this rock and roll party. You know what I mean? And it's like there's nothing in it that's preachy. There's nothing in it that's like, oh, like I'm so deep, I'm a wizard. Like it's literally just like cool guy rock rap music. But it's like if you really listen and you really look into it and you look in the art, it's more so like, hey, check this stuff out. You know, it's not even, there's nothing specific. It's like I just want to take wherever people's minds are at and like give them step one. And like if they so choose to follow into step two, they can. But if they just want to listen to music and just like vibe out, then that's all it is. You know what I mean?
really appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's a really important thing that you're doing.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. You're and I know you're not calling yourself a magician or an alchemist or a prophet, but I'll say that. Cool. Like I see you, man, and I appreciate what you do. I have like a very similar mission, which is like everyone worships something, whether they realize it or not. Like that's why religion is a good thing, is because at least you know what you serve.
Yeah.
But like a lot of these atheist figures like worship the government, or they worship
senses. They're five senses.
Yeah. Like a hedonist thing. And it's like, yeah, man, you worship light.
For
like
sure.
Bringing illumination to the situation, which is like that's my whole thing too, is Prometheus. Horus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Prometheus is a great example. I feel like for me, man, it's just a lot less of like what can I do for myself and what am I attached to and what's the truth. That's like when I brought up politics, it's like I don't want to get political. I don't want to tell anybody who to vote for. Like I genuinely want to know what the fuck is going on, and I want the truth. And it's like I don't want this candidate to win because it's like, oh, I identify with this. It's like I just want to know what the fuck is going on, and I feel like this dude is like this, and I feel like that. You know, I mean, we already talked about it. You know what I mean? But I want the truth, and it's like if the truth doesn't serve me, I still want the truth.
Well, I think if anyone watches this and what their takeaway is like, oh, Dusty's a big Trump guy. It's like you are going out of your way to not listen to what he's saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like you are really trying to put that on him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of people that are just predispositioned to, if you don't hate who they hate, you love them. And it's like that's not that. I mean, that way of thinking is just gross, dude. It's just disgusting, and it's like those are the most easily manipulated people, and it's crazy because they are the ones who think that they're like the social justice warriors, and it's like you are literally the problem.
You're just the voice of the system,
and someone gave you that opinion. That's not even your opinion. Someone told you to feel that
way. It's pretty obvious that I don't like the police and government. I've been super critical about Kamala because she was the district attorney.
Yeah.
Like she locked up people for weed. Right. Like all the time. Like prosecuted people for weed. And it's like, so I don't like pigs, which is why I don't like Kamala. But it's funny because whenever I do that, I've been pretty vocal about that. Yeah. Whenever I do that, people bring up Trump and it's like, I didn't say shit about Trump. Like you would very much like for me to support Trump. That way you can attack me.
Bro, the fact that all Biden just disappeared.
Yeah.
And then there was no.
Where the fuck is Biden? No one has seen him.
There was a video of him wearing a fucking Trump hat, bro. Like he literally is like, yeah, dog, fuck that bitch, vote for Trump. I swear to God, it's online. He's like in like he's like an old folks home, and they're all veterans. And he's wearing like a hat, and one of the veterans is like, fuck you, and gives him the MAGA hat. And he like puts it on. He's like, and like,
oh my God.
And it's just like, I mean, maybe that meant nothing, but it's like if you're Joe Biden and you just put a Trump hat on and there's a camera in front of you, like, you know what you fucking did.
Well, it makes sense after what the fuck they just did to him.
Well, that's what's crazy is like, they literally were like, all right, this guy's gone. There's no formal announcement. He's done. As far as the Democratic candidate, she wins. And it's like, what? Like, aren't we supposed to like isn't there a process? No. It's either Trump or her. And it's like, well, what about the other people? No. Like that, that's enough for me to look at just that and not ask any questions, not hear any policies, not look at anything, and be like, nope, fuck that. That's evil.
I think my prediction for next month is that Trump will win, but Kamala will be president.
Yeah. That's my prediction. That's what happened last time.
That's what fucking happened
literally people talk about like, you know, the fucking like the votes being counted and everything. I had a gig in around the was it 2020? Was that the last election? Yeah. I had a gig at Bowie's, and 2 days before my gig, the other side of the building, that's like Bowie's is this part of the building, and the behind it is on this other road. That building got fucking blown up. And that we found out that was where a lot of like the votes were being counted, and like a lot of that shit. And it's like, there is no way in shit that people were that amped up for Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying?
No, he has the worst approval rating ever of any president.
And it's like, there's like, just
even
no
on
way.
The left, they don't like him.
It's crazy. And for him to just disappear, now they're like, all right, Harris. And just, it's like all these people are like, oh my God, I hope she wins. And it's like, oh, like, look at it. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not sitting here trying to even get political, bro. Like, I don't care left or right. It's like, did you just see what the fuck happened, dog? Like, are you not
Are we going to pretend that didn't just happen?
Yeah, bro. And people are like, well, Trump's such a racist piece of shit. And it's like, okay, yeah, he is a racist piece of shit. Did you see that shit right there? What the fuck, dude? How are you going to get amped about it? Like, how are you going to see that just happened and be like, well, at least she doesn't say the word Mexican on TV? It's like, no, that's fucking, this is crazy, dude.
What if she like took off her face and she was a reptile and then put it back on, and you're like, what the fuck? And everyone's like, well, at least she's not Trump.
Yeah.
It's like, did you not just see what happened?
No, that's literally it, bro. And it's just that. And it's like, for me, it's a simulation. It has to be.
Yeah.
Why, like, who the fuck are we?
I like what you said. It has to, like, it literally, if you understand, it has to be.
There's just the very fact that there's millions of people that saw that shit and they're like, well, at least he's not racist. It's like, okay, you're not a real person. I don't give a fuck, dude. Like, that is insane, dude. Like, they just literally were like, oh, here's your nominee. And it's like, I don't know shit about politics, but I'm pretty sure, like, you just skipped like 12 levels, and that's not how that's supposed to work. What the fuck is going on? And the fact that people, like, it's like, I hate being the dude who's like, oh, they're an NPC. Like that, I feel like everyone has the ability to wake up and be real. You know what I mean?
Yes,
but
until you do,
it's shit like this, and it's shit like Christians not wanting to really read the Bible, and like people like, oh, I gave my life to Jesus. And then it's like, oh, well, what's your favorite book of the Bible? And they're like, I just love the whole thing. Yeah.
Didn't Trump say that?
Yeah. And it's like, he literally had like a fucking upside down Bible standing in front of a church and was like, and people are like, oh, see, he's a good Christian man. And I'm just like, you're not real. You're not like, you really think this motherfucker, like, his agent just said, hey, we're going to up our Christian vote. Go stand in front of that church over there, hold this Bible. And then people are like, oh, well, he's definitely Christian. Well, he took the picture.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Like,
I want to see him do that with the Quran, like in front of a mosque.
But the crazy thing is if he did that, you know how many Muslims would be like, oh, he cares about us.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, like, like, life isn't real. You know what I mean? Like, all this shit happens, and I'm just like, there's just no way.
Dude, I had like a panic attack at Possum Stock. I took mushrooms and acid at the same time. And I like had this moment where I'm like, how do I know that people have not been replaced with like robots?
Like clones and shit.
Robots, clones, aliens, something.
Like birds.
Yeah. I'm like, how do I know for sure? And I'm like, I'm at Possum Stock and I'm seeing this band play. They were called Under Clouds and Surveillance. And like the shit they were talking about and also just like what they were doing, I'm like, you're a real person.
Yeah.
Like you're real people. I trust you.
Yeah.
But like I was walking around like not only am I like I don't know that people are real, I don't know that people here are real. Like I don't fucking trust y'all.
Right. Yeah.
I was like because like I was also like up, you know? So it's like I'm like combative about it. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
It was a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's real, dude. Well, there's a lot of shit going on with like clones and all that fucking shit. And it's like, I mean, really all of that is just so far from my reality that I can't, like, I've refused to formulate an opinion on, even as much as I've said about like the political shit, it's like, that's literally as far as it goes for me. Like, I just am not educated enough on any of that shit. And I've never met either of those people. Like, I opened up for Hillary Clinton in high school at a pep rally. Like I had to arrange and compose like a drumline thing for like a 20-minute piece, and then I had to teach the whole drumline, and like we got out of class for a whole day, and then I went and like I didn't know shit. I was a 16-year-old, you know.
And that's when they
and I opened up.
You. That's when the FBI recruited you.
Yeah, right. But it's like I don't know anything about that, so it's like on anything like that, man. Like I just refuse to create an opinion, but like I'll shoot this shit with somebody and be like, what if this or what if that?
Yeah.
And for me, that's everything to do with all that. Like I don't know, man. Like sometimes I'll watch old Kamala Harris talk, and I'm like, what if she's like a really nice lady, and I'm just an asshole? You know what I mean? Like. What if she is just like somebody's mom and it's like so simple and we're just like, we smoked way too much weed. You know what I mean? Like I do think about like, I try to give every side the benefit of the doubt. I don't ever say like my opinion is fact other than that's all bullshit. Like that's definitely all bullshit.
That's my only stance is I don't trust any of them.
Yeah.
Fuck them all.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Crazy. I don't know.
Dude. Oh man, how long have we been going? Yeah.
That's about standard.
Dusty, that was a lot of fun, man.
Way better sober.
You're it's funny because like I think like the first time I saw you, I just kind of like, I hope you don't get offended by this, but I'm like, that's like a dude, bro. Like he's really cool.
Yeah.
But like talking to you, I'm like, no, like Rusty knows some shit.
Yeah.
Like he's read up on like a lot of the shit. Like,
yeah, dude.
Like shit
I spent so much of my life being the weird kid that in my like factory ass hometown, nobody got it, and I had to like adapt, dude. And like all my friends, like I was like the band kid who hung out with the football players. So like my whole life, I've had to figure out how to be like normal, you know what I mean? So it's like it sucks because in Nashville I feel like a lot of people think that about me. Like I was in a fraternity in college like for a little bit, and it's like I can do that. Like I can go hang out with all those dudes. I think it gets boring after a while, but like I've spent so much of my life being silenced for like conversations like this that I had to adapt and figure out how to wear the camouflage. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, like I haven't settled into my community well enough to realize that like you are not in your hometown anymore. Like you're around people that think like you and live like you and act like you and like want to have the exact same common interests as you. But I still have that like traumatic, like, oh, everyone's going to think I'm weird. Like I used to want to be a preacher. I used to want to like what we're talking about, dude. I wanted that to be my life, and I wanted to do it all the time. And everyone I hung out with, man, like they started getting headaches and they get stressed out and they'd run out of shit to talk about. And like people just started thinking like, oh, you just do too many drugs and all that. And it's like, no, I just shut that side of myself down and figured out how to like pretend to be a bro to where now it's like I can go to either side of the coin and like fit in, you know what I mean?
Well, that's a useful skill
to an extent. I mean, I feel like being the bridge in the middle, I really am good at like helping each side understand the other side. You know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah.
like I've been there, and it's not me like over here on this side of the fence, like, oh, they're this and that. It's like, no, I'll go over to the other side of the fence and ask them why they're doing what they're doing. Now I can come back over and I can communicate. Like, they're not evil. They're just like, this is what happened to them in their childhood, and this is why they are the way that they are.
I will talk to anyone on the show, like, about anything.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I have like opinions about stuff, but like, I have those opinions because I've listened to a bunch of different opinions, you know?
I just feel like growth is only possible when you reach outside of your bubble.
Yeah.
Or else you're not growing.
And dude, you're so right. And like, I don't think like we're saving the world or anything, but like what we just did is really important.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of people do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that there's a surprisingly large amount of people having the exact same conversations, and everyone's really afraid to talk about it.
Yeah. It's like we all kind of have the same. That's what I've realized too.
Yeah.
Is like people that like you would think are like drastically different mindsets like agree with us about a lot of stuff.
I think everything that's been said today is probably like a majority. Like, I don't know if I would say full majority, but
a lot of people feel this way.
I think it's suppressed in the media, and everyone's supposed to think that we're like all divided and there's all these different types of people. I feel like the average American is on the same exact like wavelength, you know what I mean? Or maybe just like slightly off from it, you know?
And you're right that they probably do talk about it like with their close friends.
Yeah.
But like they don't feel like, because they feel like everyone else is going to judge them.
Everybody in this town wants to be famous, and everybody is afraid to say what they truly believe because they know that they could divide their fan base, they could get canceled, they could upset people, and they could lose ticket sales. And so that's why our job is to fucking express ourselves and try and change the world. And to do that, you have to create, like, there's tension. Changing the world is like we said, violence earlier, but like you're gonna have to create tension to create change, period. And it's all these posers fucking sitting around dressing up like some 70s fucking rock star, and they're like, I'm not gonna talk about politics. And it's like, you should try to save the world, because we are all sinking into a shitty hell in this country. And it's like, you're over here not speaking up on it because you want views on Instagram. Fuck off.
Yeah.
You don't belong in the spotlight. Go fuck yourself. If you're gonna like literally put your fame and your credibility and like what people think of you over the fact that like you have the power to change things for the better, get the fuck out. You know, like, that's just how I see it. And I don't know, maybe I'm being like a dick, but
dude, I totally agree. And I think that you said it all right there. Is like, don't be a fucking pussy. Good news is like cancel culture is not a thing anymore.
Yeah, which
like,
is
people
like,
are really bored with
it
that
sucks
shit.
because cancel culture could have been a good thing, but all the worst fucking people use it. Like, I
Yeah,
have
like
a homie,
corporations use
I have
it.
a friend, a little lady friend who just went through like a super abusive relationship, and like her and a bunch of other girls all came out, and it's like, due to the last 3 years, like, we're literally looking at pictures of like girls with bruises and shit, and like, it's real as fuck. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, the ex-girlfriend community has really worn out their points with social media, like, everyone's trying to cancel everybody and bring everybody down to where now when real people come out with real problems and they're like, we need to stop supporting this person because he's an abuser, everyone's looking at it like you're just sad because he dumped you. And it's like, well, this is real now, but like, yeah, unfortunately cancel culture's just been worn the fuck out to where now everyone, like, now if you try to cancel somebody, like, you're gonna get canceled.
Yeah,
you know what
like,
I mean?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It takes all the power away from being able to deal with actual predators.
Yeah.
Like, because you call wolf
on
some bullshit all the time.
Yeah.
No one believes anybody now.
Yeah.
It is really sad.
It's crazy.
Dusty, brother Dusty, thank you for your sermon today.
Absolutely. Amen.
I feel like I'm in like a charismatic church, and the Lord said,
yeah.
Check out Hieroglyphics, out now. Check out the reveal. I really appreciate you, man.
Yeah, dude,
I see you.
I
see what you're about.
When's this coming out?
This will be up Thursday.
Okay.
probably.
We're playing Eastside Bowl, like an extension. It's like another Eastside Riot is happening at Eastside Bowl, and then we're playing in the new room up front.
Okay.
So I think Eastside Riot is actually like opening up the itinerary to like put both stages on it. So we're playing at Eastside Bowl October 25th for like a Halloween party.
This will definitely be up by then.
Cool.
Yeah, go check them out at Eastside Bowl, and I'll put a link to Hieroglyphics down below.
Fuck yeah.
We'll see you next week.